rolling.
So, the difference between solo and cut, or the destructive soloing, and AFL, or after fade listen non-destructive soloing, is this. When you solo and cut any instrument, and in this case I'm solo and cutting a tape return fader, that fader, really nothing happens to it. What happens is that all the other faders become cut. Let's demonstrate that again. Nothing soloed. We're in the default position of a destructive soloing. I solo something, and all other faders become cut. That's why it's destructive, is because all other faders are being stopped from heading down the stereo bus to the master fader. The fader that I have soloed really is just continuing to do what it was doing in the first place. It's going down the stereo bus to the master fader. A non-destructive solo, AFL in this case, as we showed you previously, you have to go out of your way to engage that. And then the volume of this solo will be reliant on this level knob just above the AFL switch. So what's happening here is we're actually switching off of the stereo bus when we solo. That's a little hard to swallow on that one, but I'll demonstrate. So I'm going to go ahead and come right back to this same instrument, tape return, instrument, kick out. And I'm going to solo, and voila, you'll notice all the other faders are not being cut. But if they're not being cut, then how is it that this is being isolated or soloed? Of course, that's the function or the feature of AFL, after fade listen. So what's going on there is that when I hit the solo switch, I'm actually getting off of the stereo bus altogether and going onto the AFL bus. And that's why the AFL has a volume associated with it, because it's relative no longer to the volume of the stereo bus that we had in the previous situation. Let's, oops. I think I'll demonstrate. I'd like to demonstrate the difference between the two. So I'm going to turn the AFL, the whole AFL thing off. We're on, let me roll a little music. There is the solo and cut of the kick. You'll notice all the other faders have stopped going to the stereo bus. They've been cut. This one continues to go to the stereo bus, and I can prove stereo bus and master fader, so I'll prove that to you now. Watch. Can't hear it anymore, right? All right. Now what I'm going to do is to show you the difference, is I'm going to engage the non-destructive solo, AFL, okay? This time when I solo the kick, you'll see everybody else is not being cut, and yet I hear it. How do I hear it isolated? I hear it on its own bus. I'm not listening to the stereo bus master fader anymore. Watch. No difference. Instead, I'm on the Affle-Piffle bus, completely reliant on that bus.